I watched maybe 15 overs of this match.
Wow.
Day
That's
one, I
like
missed.
half of the match, Ra. It is so short.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Hello and welcome to episode number 150 of Bits and Pieces. It is a milestone episode and hence we are all mildly stoned. As for the Indian team, following a 2.3-day finish in Adelaide where they really did not show up and got blown away by the Australians. India, again, a shit team. Australia, again, a wonderful team. Test cricket continues to be schizophrenic. We don't know what's going on in this format. Fortunes are rising and falling. People are trying to explain and understand what's going on. If you're an Indian cricket fan, it's back to the familiar feeling that we've been having for a while now in recent past with Test cricket. India once again failing to make 200 in the first innings of a test match. It's now 4 times out of 5, the last 5 test matches, that they have not managed to make 200. Their old bugbears, Travis Head and Pat Cummins, both coming into form. Marnus Labuschagne irritating his way to a half century as well. So Australia getting into a good groove after having lost the first test. And to review the series as it stands, 1-1, we have myself, Nitin, PDP, and Chops on the podcast. Welcome to the pod, PDP and Chops.
Hi, Nitu. Great to be here.
Hey, Ditto.
So, unlike me, PDP and Chops have watched most of this test match. I was hoping to catch day 3, 4, and 5. And I have spent most of day 3 sitting in front of a blank TV screen. And I'll start with you, Chops. I believe you watched this match closely. Please give us your 30,000 feet view of everything that went wrong.
How do we manage to like play a format? And this is, by now it's clear it's like a completely different format. How do we manage to play a format in a foreign land just like that? Like we don't play it at all, and suddenly we are playing it in Adelaide against, one of the best bowling attacks in the world, and we have been found out like I think the start itself, Stark picking up first ball wicket. I think it was the third or fourth time in his career he did that. After that, it was like a proper procession, where I mean, in the 90s they used to say that the first guy has put the tea on the gas stove, and so everyone has
Yeah.
to have a little bit of it, and it just kept going worse and worse. The bowling was also very off color for the most part. Harshit flattered to deceive in Perth, and here he was found wanting big time.
Deceived to flatter in Adelaide.
Deceived to flatter in Adelaide. Yeah. It's one of those series where the team that loses doesn't lose in a sense that there are still positives to take from the win. I mean, everything's gone bad.
Everything is negative.
Everything is negative.
But this has been a theme, no, in Test cricket. We are having very schizophrenic results in the sense everyone is winning, everyone is defeating everyone else, but they're
Yeah.
also defeating them by massive margins, right? You look at
Yeah.
Pakistan versus England, right? You had England hammering Pakistan in the first Test match, and then Pakistan absolutely slaughtering England in the second and third. You're seeing England now smashing New Zealand to pulp. Sri Lanka smashed New Zealand. New Zealand destroyed India, and so on. So that trend just seems to be continuing. PDP, I'll bring you in here. India's best batsman in this series is Yashasvi Jaiswal. He has scored as many first innings runs as you, me, or PDP, or Chops, or any one of us has scored. And therein lies the tail, right? India's batting. It didn't start off so badly, as in they lost a wicket first ball. Rahul and Gill actually played out
Yes,
most of that first session, right? And 60 for 1 was a good place to be.
exactly.
So what happened after that, PDP? Tell us.
I mean, that's the thing about Test cricket, no? Even though it's like played over 5 days, it's a little like life in the sense that if you have like one bad hour, you spend the rest of those 5 days regretting that one bad hour. Must be said that in Perth, had to be said that India got the best conditions to bat in, actually. Over here, actually, India won a great toss. I think they had the best of the conditions to deal with. That half an hour before lunch, they lost, I think, 3 wickets in that time. And then after the break, again, within half an hour, they lost another wicket. And then, of course, batting under lights against this Australian attack is mightily difficult.
Emma difficult.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. So when they had a decent platform, 60 odd for one, like you're saying, that's actually the time when they should have done a bit better in their first innings, and they didn't. And I think Rohit acknowledged that in the press conference.
So Rohit said India got
Mhm.
30 to 40 runs less in the first innings. I'm wondering in my mind if 30 to 40 runs in the first innings would have made any material difference to this match.
Obviously not.
No, I think the only thing that could have happened if India got those 30, 40 runs is the time that they would have made Australia spend on day one would have been again like a short spell of fiercely attacking fast bowling. Maybe that would have made some difference. Like Australia got to start their batting on day one at a point in time where the ball
Yeah.
is not doing too much,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then it starts to do a little more by the time that sunset comes along,
Yeah.
and by that time these two guys were fairly set.
Is this the first time in Test cricket's history where we've started talking about when is the right time to get all out? Is it better? Should we tactically declare 80 for 7
Hey,
instead of
Macha, it's
wasting
happened,
time?
no? I think there's one pink ball test in which South Africa was
Yeah,
playing Australia, and
yeah.
Faf du Plessis was the only guy who was able to get some runs. All of the other South Africans were blown away. And I think he declared 9 down so that the South Africans could have a bowl at Australia. I don't know what happened to the result of that match, but
I can tell you.
it's super tactical. It's a gulf of difference between what happens during the day and then what happens once evening starts to set in.
So the
Yeah,
irony here is that when they first kind of tooted the idea of playing with a pink ball, I think the manufacturers of the ball were concerned that the pink ball uh, stops misbehaving very quickly and it could flatten out, and that's why they put extra layers of lacquer on the pink ball, which is why it darts around the way it does. So when they started off, they were actually concerned that pink ball tests would all end in draws, which is insane. If you look at pink ball tests which have happened, yeah, they're all finishing in 2.5 days. Some of the Australian bowling in this test match was just beautiful to watch.
yeah.
The ball that Rohit got in the second innings, oh my god.
I think India also missed a trick because Boland is like an open book exam. You know what's going to come your way. England were able to counter him and I mean effectively like thrash him out of the test side by taking him on big time.
But that was in England.
I mean England also is the kind of place which will support his bowling.
Boland has the biggest gulf in average between home and away
Home and away.
amongst
Yeah.
bowlers,
Yeah.
something like that. I doubt if the current England team would fare too well against Boland in these conditions.
I think the only way to disturb his line in length was to sort of take him on. I don't know, go down the wicket a little bit or try something funky because he was in his group very, very early, and I mean, then he was just taking wickets for fun in the middle order.
He's a bit like Vernon Philander, no?
Exactly what I was going
Yeah,
to say. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's not easy to get those guys away, and
Yeah.
people
yeah.
don't like it when we say that Test batting is not what it used to be because players are now feasting on T20 most of the time.
Right.
We're not seeing big scores at all from any team. And even when India finally managed to get runs on the board, right, in the Perth Test match, it was on the back of a superlative 200-run opening partnership. And similarly, when they got runs in Bangalore against New Zealand, which is the only innings where they got runs in the second innings, it was because of a insane partnership. In that case, it was Sarfraz and Pant, who I think again put on 200 plus, right? But yeah, you mentioned Rohit got the ball of the match, which is quite crazy considering the ball that Jaiswal got from Stark.
Hey, even the
Oh
Gill
yeah,
ball, man.
superb, superb.
Yeah, yeah. I'm acting like I've seen all these balls, but most of the second innings is because I haven't watched.
Like sometimes the stumps take a little bit of a cartwheel, right? This was just like the stump was like down and out for the count.
Yeah, I mean,
Someone on Twitter mentioned something about Gill, or maybe it was the commentators, right? Gill never looks in trouble, whatever the pitch is. He looks completely fine and he's playing well, and then he gets out. This is
Yeah.
what
yeah.
happens. He never looks like he's out of his depth, which is not something you can say about Rohit Sharma in this test match. I think PGK came up with a very apt explanation of Rohit Sharma's batting in this test match. It looks like Jarvo was sent out in the India kit
Oh my
to
god.
play against Australia. So he currently apparently averages 11 in his last 6 test matches now. We
Yeah.
thought going down to the middle order will help, but I guess he also ended up batting at the worst possible times.
No,
And as certain experts on Twitter pointed out, he got out in both innings to balls that would have got any batsman. He just happened to be the unfortunate person to be at the receiving end of them. Is that all batting is, Chops and PDP? Please tell us. Is it just about the luck that you have? Like, if you are the batsman facing when an unplayable ball comes, that is going to get you out, and it's okay if your average is low and you're not scoring runs. Please tell us.
to be fair, and I think we should be fair to Vamu. He actually called it before the test. He said that batting here in the middle order under lights is actually very, very hard. So, there was a lot of banter going back and forth where people are saying that Rohit is hiding at number 6. And Vamu actually said, no, that's actually harder to bat there. So, it's actually bold of him to go there.
It was a
And
hiding to nothing. It was bold to go, and he was
yeah,
bold. Yeah.
yeah. And to be fair, I mean, Rohit got a couple of jaffas against New Zealand also. I mean, I don't know if it's just if bad form is nothing but an accumulation of jaffas against you. I don't know, but he's definitely he's definitely copped a few the last few games.
I think it must be in the name, guys. It is Sharma, right? So Ishant Sharma famously used to bowl wicket-taking balls and never get wickets. Rohit
Ah,
Sharma famously keeps getting wicket-taking balls and gets out to them. So he's like a magnet for wicket-taking balls.
To my mind, he really looked like he was doing okay in the second innings. I mean, before the
What?
ball that, yeah. I mean, I know before the ball that got him out,
He
he
was
looked to
he could
be,
have got out 3 times, dude. He got that
yeah. I
bouncer
mean,
first ball.
no. So
He
mm,
I
got
actually understand what Chops is saying. Chops is saying
oh
that anyone would have struggled in those conditions with the ball behaving like that. Is what he's saying.
yeah. But there were
no, that's
like,
not what he said. He said he looked okay.
yeah.
Please
So there
explain,
was
Chops.
one shot through the offside which was pretty okay. Then there was a couple of runs through the leg side which were pretty okay. So he didn't look like he was completely all at sea. I mean, if you watch the highlights of 50 over match that they played with the pink ball against PM11, he was like, oh my God, couldn't put bat to ball. Here, I think he looked okay, and then that one ball, which is like a Cummins signature ball now against right-handers, that
Yeah.
took his wicket. So, hoping against hope that he comes good, because I think the tightening of the game as it was did happen.
This reminds me of how we used to hope that Saurav Ganguly was in form when he was getting out for 5 runs of 13 balls.
Come on,
Oh, you
really?
see that cover drive? He played one beautiful cover drive, guys. It went for 4. Next ball, he need to slip. Huh? That is okay. It's a high risk, high reward shot for him. Next match, he will score. Next match, same thing will happen. Or he will fake an injury and go out. And there are more parallels, right, between Ganguly and Rohit Sharma. Somebody said Rohit has done the selfless thing by giving away the opening slot to Rahul and Jaiswal, who scored only 200 runs in
Yeah,
extremely difficult conditions in the previous
yeah.
test match. Much like Saurav Ganguly was very gracious in allowing Virender Sehwag and Sachin Tendulkar, who are only the 2 best Indian one-day international openers of all time, to open ahead of him and dropping to the middle order. Like he had a say in the matter.
If the parallels continue, maybe he's going to score 100 at the Gabbar like Dada did in
Oh wow.
2003-4.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't have Brad Williams and Michael Kasparovic's bowling at him. Nathan
Yeah.
Bracken.
Nathan Bracken. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Nathan Bracken. But yeah, so Rohit, of course, looking a little out of shape, looking a little out of place, and also it's been ages since he batted in the middle order, so we must give him that, right? I did compare him to Ganguly, but the correct comparison is actually with Sehwag, because like Sehwag, Rohit played all his life in the middle order until he came to the Indian team and then found that the only spot he had was at the opening slot, right? Both in one days and tests, he sort of came into his own as an opener and has just made that spot his own. Sehwag, of course, never really went into the middle order again, right? He always remained an opener. And Rohit would have felt very much fish out of water suddenly batting in the middle order in this test match. So you can give him that.
No, I mean, actually, it feels a little bit like the season of decline because we're seeing Steve Smith in decline. We're seeing, I hate to say it, Usman Khwaja also in decline.
Yeah.
We're seeing Rohit, Virat, both of them struggling. So
I
uh,
think it's simple to say there are only 2 batsmen in the world who are scoring runs.
Joe Root.
No, he had a couple of failures, right, in this series.
Okay.
Harry
Yeah.
Brook, man. Harry Brook has been scoring in every single match in every single continent and country that he's been playing. And the other person, I don't know if you've noticed, Temba Bavuma has been scoring 60s and 70s in fairly important runs. But everyone else, it's a bit of a write-off right now. It's funny what's happening in Test cricket. You're right. It's decline. So why is
Yes.
everyone declining? Of course, I forgot the most important name, Travis Head. I think it is a trauma that we are trying to hide now at this
I
point.
know we're trying not to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting stat, right? So Pat Cummins and Travis Head have become the first players, respectively, to take a 5 wicket haul and hit 100 against India in the pink ball, red ball, and the white ball. Very typical Kaustup
Yeah.
Gudipati level stats. They
It's
literally
like
hit India black and blue and pink and white and red, right? It's like in every possible way. But why? Tell us about the season in decline, right? So, what emotion does it evoke in you?
no, it's not emotion. Because these are all players who have been around for a while. They're extremely skillful, and they're obviously battling against slowing reflexes, slightly slowing eyesight. I don't know, but just watching the adjustments that they're making makes for very interesting viewing. What does Virat do now? I mean, I saw a stat somewhere that said, I think on CricViz, where they were saying that he's got the weakest defense, and they actually quantified it using some measure. He's got the weakest defense against both pace and spin amongst top order batsmen in the world, barring three or something like that. I mean, it's a ridiculous stat.
Who are those three?
So
Saurav Ganguly will be one of them.
currently playing that.
Oh,
But yeah, like I mean that's an
yeah.
insane stat. I mean, clearly there is an issue with his defense. Actually, Crickers was suggesting that where he has actually been strong, his strong suit has actually been to attack against fast bowling, try and take the initiative, and play attackingly instead of trying to defend his way out of trouble.
But he's not, no. Kohli is very rarely getting out trying to defend. Of course, his idea of scoring shot is often, dinking the ball to the offside for a single. But very often he's also driving away from the body. Not in this test match. In this test match, he was actually trying to kind of leave the ball. Both he and KL Rahul on the first day got out to leaves, right, which is play and leave. So, and they absolutely didn't have to play the balls that they got out to. If you
Yeah.
remember them, they were back of the length, well outside the off stump, fairly harmless balls to let go of, right?
Yep.
Who was it? Was it Rahul in the second innings again? Could have easily ducked. When was the last time an Indian batsman ducked under a bouncer, right? I can remember Sehwag, who through his career, while being a very attacking batsman, just
Couldn't
refused
hook. Yeah,
and
couldn't hook.
refused to hook, right? You
Yeah,
could
couldn't hook.
keep bouncing him, he'd keep ducking under it.
Yep.
The moment it's outside the off stump, he'd go for the shot.
Yeah.
In given the situation that India found themselves in the second innings, and given the role that Rahul has very clearly now taken on, which is that India need a Pujara replacement.
He's a Murli Vijay replacement, actually.
Murli Vijay replacement. Now, India don't have
Yeah.
either of those two molds of players, right, in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
series. And especially given that Rahul has taken on that role and mantle, that shot was very confusing. So, Kohli, guys, like there was this other tweet that was doing the rounds, right? This guy could resist butter chicken for 15 years, but he cannot resist anything on the seventh stump line. Why does he keep going for those? Why can't he leave those balls? What should Kohli do? I have a theory, and I don't know what he can do, but I have a theory about batsmen and why this season of decline is upon us.
No, but what is your theory? Tell us.
We are seeing around the world in Test cricket. It's a bowling era now, right? And that era has just been gaining momentum. I think it started about 8-9 years back, right, when bowlers suddenly started having a bit of a
Wobble
resurgence.
seam.
Yeah, things like wobble seam coming into the game, and that season of the bowlers has just become stronger and stronger. Of course, aided by WTC coming in, home teams preparing pitches that are more result oriented. I mean, the counter to that result oriented home pitches point would be that a lot of home teams are actually losing test matches now. And,
Exactly.
it doesn't make sense for home curators. So I don't think that is the only reason why you're seeing so many result matches. The theory that I have, which is exactly as Chops was saying, things like the wobble seam. The wobble seam ball is something that has become a quantified scientific phenomenon now because you have the kind of cameras and the kind of analysis in cricket that did not exist 10 to 15 years back. The kind of data that bowlers have in their back pocket as to what a batsman's weakness is, what should I be doing, allied with the fact that sports nutrition and fast bowling, the science behind fast bowling is far advanced to what it was a few years back. You can always say that these are gradual changes that have happened over the years, but there are always a few things that make a step change happen, right? Like HD cameras, the kind of cameras that you have now, are significantly better than what you had, say, 15 years back. My theory, it's not much of a theory, it's just a thought that I have, is that the fact that the bowlers have these tools at their disposal now makes it infinitely harder for a batsman as he gets older, because bowlers are coming in with all this information, right? Before they bowl a ball to a batsman, they have this entire world of knowledge with them now, and the athleticism and everything. The batsman can have all that info, but at the end of the day, he has half a second to react to a ball, right? And that has not changed. And this is, I would say, this is the great comeback of the bowlers as cricket goes into the era of shorter formats, smaller boundaries, and batsmen dominating bowlers becoming the, the bread and butter of cricket as a sport. In Test cricket, bowlers are having that last laugh because actually the batsmen are crippled significantly by the fact that bowlers have all this in their harmony, and an older batsman who is actually getting a little slower and not quantifiably so is going to find it that much tougher than someone who's young. And hence, I feel batsmen will actually age out much faster in coming years than they used to.
Completely agree. And coupled with this is the fact that
Hey, you had to say 100% agree with you, basically.
100% agree with you, Nitu. But but to add to that point, right, what's also happening is that you got batsmen are more physically fit now. So so if you remember, say for example, don't mean to be mean, but if you remember VVS Lakshman towards the end, right? I mean, his physical fitness had actually dropped off.
I don't think there was much to start with, but yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Was it high then?
You were not mean. You actually gave VVS Lakshman the biggest backhanded compliment because you suggested he was fit at some stage in his life, which he wasn't.
No, so all I'm trying to say is that so you have someone like Kohli, right? On every quantifiable parameter, he is hyper fit, right? He's still acing whatever bleep test, yo-yo test, whatever it is. There is no test to test your reflex other than actually batting. It becomes harder too. It was an
Oh,
easier
yeah.
decision with a batsman who's physically unfit, as opposed to now where you
Huh.
tend to get found out in the most unkind way possible.
No,
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 that's fine. And
I
you're right. You're right. Like players like Kohli, and Kohli is really again an exception, right? You look at Rohit Sharma, you get the more of the prototype with Rohit Sharma. That's how an old Indian batsman has always
Yes.
looked, and he continues to look that way. Kohli can spend all the time he wants in the gym, eating all the right food and everything, but it's not going to do anything to his hand-eye
Yep.
coordination,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
no, no,
And
no.
that
So
continues to age
see, I
as
mean,
things stand. Yeah.
I don't disagree with the general point that obviously with age, all of these things, matter a lot, and bowlers now have the tools to capitalize on these weaknesses a lot more.
I will also add this. Earlier, you had bowlers flaming out faster.
Yes.
You have now reached a stage where bowlers actually won't, because the physical fitness thing actually helps bowlers a lot more than it helps batsmen. Which is why you have an
Yes.
Anderson, you have
Yes.
Saudi, who has been bowling for God knows how long. And I mean, he's not a great bowler, he never was, but he's not ineffective even at this stage in his career.
No.
In
No.
this
No.
series, Saudi didn't bowl too badly. Of course, he got
Boss.
conked
Bangalore.
by Batsman. Yeah, and then Bangalore, yeah, exactly. And there are other examples, right? Neil Wagner was quite old, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he could generate pace.
See, with Kohli, maybe all of those things are true, and maybe the first innings dismissal was a little bit of a proof of that, where maybe a younger Kohli could have, I don't know, seen the bounce coming from a fair distance away and done something else to that ball, and maybe not be in two minds to either play or leave, and then got the touch. But it's with Kohli, I don't think it's just a reflex issue. I
Yeah.
I also point out to you the fact that the Bullen dismissal in the second innings, right? What is happening? It's just a series of balls at different distances from the off stump, and he's trying to play, and he's getting beaten, and he's like dabbing one uncomfortably to slips, and I mean it's just like you can see it coming. You can see it coming that this 125, 130 kph
Hmm.
bowler is going to get him to nick one off. You
Hmm.
look at his weaknesses against spin. That is not explained by reflex, right? I mean, it's coming slow ultimately. I think,
I don't agree with that reading of spin. I mean, yeah, it comes off the pitch at a certain pace, right?
yeah.
And it deviates more significantly. So you can't just say spin is slow and so reflexes don't count.
No, no, no.
Reflexes
I'm
matter.
saying
Yeah.
that it's a very difficult thing to imagine and a very terrible thing to say. But Kohli's game is limited. He has a very set pattern of scoring. He's always had it. But because of, maybe the physical fitness being at its peak, or all of those things, going in his favor with respect to shot making, etc. He's managed to take that limited game, which is primarily based on the front foot, and go to town with it. But you look at how he approaches a phase where people are feeding him balls outside off stump, or you look at how he approaches phases where spinners have pegged him down. Doesn't have too many responses. He's not someone who's able to go on the back foot and do something. He's not going to ever sweep a spinner. I mean, he's recently started doing so. He had limited run scoring options and he utilized them to the maximum. Now people have caught on to those options, and that age related decline has happened, and it's showing up in ways where unless you bowl straight onto his pads, or you bowl a half volley, or you bowl a short one, like all bad balls, basically, he finds it very difficult to score.
My God. Okay, after 150 episodes, we finally found the way to get cancelled. For 149 episodes, we were making fun of our Ashwin guys, who has paid us back in the worst currency possible by building his own YouTube channel and saying, fuck off, useless content creators. I'll show you how it is done. But finally, in episode 150, Chops is taking bits and pieces viral by saying Virat Kohli is a private limited batsman, because he also keeps to himself. So he's a private limited batsman like Robin Singh, who used to dink the ball to the offside or smash the ball to the leg side. I had only 2 shots in his entire career. He said Kohli has been a limited batsman all his life.
Guys. Who's the batsman who's suffering because of hand-eye coordination going bad? Steve Smith.
Yep.
He used to stand with his feet next to each other on the crease and then hit the ball wherever he wanted to, and never get LBW.
Yep.
Never get LBW. Yep. Now his bat is in another latitude, his feet are in another longitude.
Obviously, how do you have hand-eye coordination if Ashwin has taken your hands and gone to Chennai? Come on.
No, but 100% agree with you, Chops. If you just think back to that first bowler in Perth, man, you would never have imagined that happening to Steve Smith 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Like, never. Like, he would walk across his stumps and pick you from middle and off and play you through square leg. And
yeah, but this is known, no. Like, this is every batsman. Rahul Dravid in his last series in Australia got bowled like 7 times by Ben Hilfenhaus. Yeah, players get old and then they start making mistakes. That's the game.
No, Chops is being even meaner to Kohli now. He's saying it's not age. He's saying that he doesn't.
No, but I fully disagree, and I'll tell you why I disagree. As in, I'm not going to. I like this point that Kohli is a limited batsman, so I'm going to leave that there, right? And I hope our readers catch on, our listeners catch on to it. L_Chopper knows. Kohli Army, please find him on
Kohli Army, please find him.
So my point is, dude, if you look at Kohli's great centuries, right? The 2018 century in Perth, I think, is a great example. The Headingley. Or no, not Headingley, it was at Edgbaston. The first test in 2018 in England where he scored. There was a centurion 100 against South Africa. These were not, he wasn't a limited batsman, dude. He could play. He hit shots everywhere. He was hitting those shots to the boundary. He was not hitting them into the hands of the slip fielder. That was the difference. His shot selection was not different. His execution was different. He was nailing those shots, those drives through the offside. He always used to drive really well on the up through the covers. He used to work bowlers off the pads to the leg side very comfortably. He had a good pull shot. Yeah, he wasn't always a great cutter.
No.
Now he's getting out. Now he's getting out playing those shots, and that's the difference.
Not getting out playing the pull or the
pull.
Cover drive. I'm just saying that
he's gotten out playing the cover drive n number of times, edging into the gully.
Far away when he's hitting that. I mean, that shot you'll get out any day of your life.
No, he used to hit those. He wasn't leaving those. He used to hit those for 4 also. And they used to be slightly airy-fairy shots, but he used to get away with them because he was good enough to still middle them. Maybe now he should not be playing as many shots through the covers, but he's still going for them because in his mind, he's still the old Kohli.
No, you look at maybe his WTC final innings against New Zealand, right? I think he scored some 40 odd runs of some 130 odd balls. Immense patience. Unreal amount of patience to keep leaving outside off. I think
so. Now, you're saying he's a limited batsman with no patience. So not even Robin Singh. You're now saying he's like, I don't know who you're comparing.
Krishnamacharya Srikanth.
Rather, who is this Kohli?
premeditated shot maker. No,
Hey,
Krishna.
Raja!
You made him Krishnamacharya Srikanth now. Right. Okay.
I don't think it's hand-eye coordination with Kohli because to my mind all the physical fitness work that you do must be having some impact on
Yeah.
keeping those faculties
His
also good.
eyes are curling biceps every day and getting sharper with age. Okay, and I'm not meaning to simplify. Right? Obviously, we can't explain what's going wrong with Kohli. And my point, anyway, broadly was not about Kohli specifically. I think hand-eye coordination is a catch-all term, right? But my point is not just about hand-eye coordination. All I'm saying is every batsman declines at a particular age. My humble theory is that age when batsmen start declining is going to keep getting earlier and earlier as we progress through this era. That's all. I'm not saying that's what is happening with Kohli. Whatever is happening with Kohli is sad to see. And the thing is, his century in Perth also is a bit of a red herring. And if you look at his recent hundreds, right, the last time he got, I think against Bangladesh, he got 100 sometime. I think against Australia on that very flat pitch in the fourth test in Ahmedabad, he got 100. Those are not great hundreds because
Yeah,
Kohli's great hundreds are those innings that I spoke about, where he is pretty much he comes in at 70 for three or 60 for three, and he just takes charge and he's playing on a different pitch,
Yeah,
which is what 2016, 2017, 2018
correct.
used to be, right? And hundreds everywhere in the world
Yeah, yeah.
playing like that.
Alpha
That's not the
hundreds.
Kohli. In the last couple of hundreds have not been that,
Yeah,
and outside of those hundreds, there's been nothing, literally nothing now
yeah.
for years. I don't know what the way out is, or if there is a way out. Yeah.
But another guy who's kind of slipped a little bit under the radar is Khawaja. I mean, he had a brilliant couple of years. Yeah, even on the tour of India, I think he was their best batsman in
Yeah.
2023. It's not that long ago. But
Let's not
of late,
forget Khwaja is 37 years old, right?
yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
not a spring chicken either. So
No, no,
yeah,
no, he's not. But I'm saying he had a lovely autumn and batsman I enjoy watching. I know Chops does too.
he had a wonderful autumn. He had a wonderful autumn, but now there is no spring in his step,
Oh my god. Oh my god.
and
yeah.
hence winter is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why? How long before Jake Frazier McGurk becomes a test opener? It's possible. Why not? It can happen. They'll have to give him NOC to play test cricket. All the leagues that he plays for will give him an NOC. He'll go and play test cricket now.
Yeah.
But you realize what has happened to this podcast, right, guys? We've done technical analysis of batsmen and why
Oh
they are
my
failing.
god.
That
Oh
is who
my.
we have become
Oh
now.
my.
Other thing that I wanted to mention was it was quite amazing to see Cummins today with only 5 or 6 Indian wickets left go for the short ball like anything. It was almost as if, I mean, on one hand, it was a very effective way to get Indian tailenders out because they don't know how to duck and they obviously don't know how to hook. But it also seemed that it was almost like a response to, what they had dished out in the last test, and it was
Of
like
course.
Harshit Rana was taking it everywhere. I think Bumrah, Siraj, everyone had to face quite a few short balls. Quite effective, I guess.
Yeah, it is a couple of things, right? There has been a lot of lip in this test match, which I think is now going to be the template for the rest of the series. I think both the teams have sort of come out firing at each other. It started off mildly in the first test, where Harshit and Stark had a couple of conversations, but Siraj and Head have now taken it to the next level. I thought Cummins bowling bouncers was also Australia kind of telling the Indian bowlers
Yeah,
and trying to push India further into the back foot, right? Because
yeah.
if you look at India's performance, not just in this series, but for a while now, it's largely Bumrah, Pant, Jaiswal. You remove these three, and it's not an international standard lineup at
You
all.
break
Right?
Bumrah's hand, the series is over. May
The
as well
series is
come.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
And
mean,
and it has happened in a pink ball test. Shami in the last one.
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it's unclear what this team will do. Right? I don't think they have the bench
Depth.
strength
They
that
don't have the
India had
depth.
in 2020. Very different team in a different stage of evolution.
Hmm.
And I think Australia know that. And I think Cummins is the kind of person who will home in on those kind of weaknesses.
A question from me on what could Rohit have done different? Because when you look at him in the New Zealand tests, when you look at him here, there's always this word going around that he's tactically not up to the mark in Test cricket, and sometimes it's easy to say that and difficult to really point out what could have been done differently. Uh, I'm I'm not really sure if there was ample scope to do something.
No, he doesn't have the guns. I mean, you have Bumrah. Who else
No,
do
he
you
has
have?
guns, but he doesn't have runs.
Oh my.
See, I don't think there's any point talking about bowling or fielding captaincy and all when your batsman can't put together one score on the board. What will your bowlers bowl at? Even in Perth, let's not forget that they got 150. Yes, it was a very, very hard batting conditions. We acknowledge it. But India won that test match entirely because of the bowlers, or rather because of Bumrah, right? And getting 7 wickets in the
Yeah.
first day after getting bowled out. You can't expect your bowlers to do that every match, right? How many miracles can your bowlers pull off? Whoever it is. And that's it. I wouldn't blame Rohit, the
No, I'm
captain,
not. I'm
or the
not
bowler.
saying that the batter shouldn't have done better, and I'm not saying that
Yeah.
the blame lies with the captaincy or with the bowlers. But I just want to hone in on Rohit's captaincy and understand what he could have done differently, because it did feel like the game was, kind of slipping away
No, but
quite quickly on day two.
no, the point is what is the attack that he has? You don't want to overbowl Bumrah. You've got a whole series to go. And who else? I mean, you've got Harshit Rana, who's not up to the mark in this game. There's Nitish Kumar Reddy, Ashwin, Pink Ball. There are not a lot of options that he had. To be fair,
Yeah.
I think Nitu's right. I think you're on a hiding to nothing when you're bowled out that cheaply on a decent wicket. I mean, the pitch, unlike Perth, the pitch here was actually a pretty good deck. I think.
Yeah, and Australia, through all their hardships, credit to them for the way they batted on the first day.
Yeah,
But then just hung around there, right? Made
yeah.
sure that India did not get that breakthrough. And I think this test
Yeah,
match was over. Like much, it's actually over in like 1 day later it ended. That's
Yeah,
a different matter. But as a contest, it was over maybe 1 hour into day two.
yeah.
Yes, there's no coming back from there. And Head is going to play shots, right? Its platform is made for him to go and do that. And yeah, they'll come off. Head against India is always going to come off, anyways. What is that to say?
yeah, but I mean the Harshit Rana selection is I think in the first test also he didn't look the part, other than a few good balls here and there. But this test, I mean, he's been found wanting big time.
Doesn't
Huge
matter, man.
difference between.
I have a counter theory that bowling doesn't matter in Test cricket. You need runs. You pick any bowler you want. If you get 500 runs on the board, you're not going to lose the Test match. How is that for a theory? Take that. Even 300. 300 would have been a good score to have here.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
you had
300
batsmen
would have
just.
been amazing.
Okay, so 1-1, at least the way this test match went, reminded me of Anderson versus Jadeja, which became like the flashpoint in 2014. We've had other examples. We had Kohli, of course, in
God.
Australia in his first tour in 2011,
Yeah,
where he
yeah.
showed the finger to the crowd in the Sydney test match. Mohammad Siraj, guys, thoughts firstly on what happened after Siraj got Travis Head out bowled. Yeah.
So let's put that in perspective. He got Travis Head out after Travis Head had smashed a runner ball 140. He got him out with a fucking full toss that
Yeah.
Travis had somehow missed. It's not like he bowled some Jaffa ball of the century and all that. Oh
Yeah.
man. I mean, I can understand the frustration, but seriously, I mean, it seemed like a ridiculous reaction.
So you think reaction is commensurate to achievement in cricket? So a bowler can only, if he's bowled a great ball and got a batsman out cheaply, that's the only time a bowler can give a send off. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the reason for the send off here is not celebration; it is frustration.
Do you guys remember Venkatesh Prasad giving Michael Slater a send off?
No, I remember
Oh,
Venkatesh
yeah.
Prasad giving Amir Sohail a send off.
In
Uh,
99, I think the second test. It's later was on in 90s. Again, it was like a very rapid 90 odd that he got of
yeah,
130, 140 balls. And he was, I think, trying to hook and get to his 100. And it was a short ball from Prasad, which means it has still not reached the batsman. But Slater tried to hit him to the leg side and somehow got a top edge and was caught at deep mid wicket.
huh.
And Prasad just lost it. He actually didn't give him a proper send off. He just celebrated in his face, right? He was pumping his fist right in front of. And Slater was just disappointed because he missed 100, right? So he
Yeah.
throws his head back and there's this tall giraffe in front of him who is behaving like randomly. And Slater was just like, what's going on? That was again a frustration rather than an accomplishment kind of
Yeah,
celebration.
yeah.
But Chops, what are your thoughts on the send off?
you can't tell players in the heat of the moment that this is the cutoff now. Any
Scoville score of how hot your
yeah.
send off can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the cutoff. Now, if a batter has done, scored more runs than this, then cutoffs, send-offs don't apply. Cutoffs do
अब
apply.
50 रुपए का ओवर एक्टिंग मत करो आप,
Yeah.
ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते.
Yeah, that doesn't work, first of all. I think it was a decent ball. It was kind of a slower Yorker, not a full toss per se. Siraj by then, I mean, he anyway has a very, very long follow through. It's almost like he goes to bowl from the other end after every ball. That is how long his follow through is. So
Yeah.
he came pretty close to the batter, and his celebration was in the face of Travis Head. There's no doubt about that. So in my mind, who instigated the whole thing is perhaps a little bit of a question mark.
Is it wrong? Is it bad? Is it bad? Is it to be censured? Yeah.
I don't think so at all. It's absolutely fine.
So
I
I'll
think what was the fun thing to see after that was how the crowd reacted to it. India have had the advantage for many years for going to any part of the world and finding a partisan crowd in their favor. This was South Australia at its most partisan in favor of someone
Local
who's
boy.
playing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, home test match.
yeah.
And once Stark came and hit that four, it
Yeah.
was a round of boos followed by a round of yeas, and quite amazing few minutes of Test cricket there.
Yeah, and Australia have this tendency of passing the baton, right? So this now will continue. Every time he comes on to bowl, I think English cricketers have faced this in the past. Kohli, like I mentioned, has faced this in 2011, 2012. And yeah, if Siraj actually can go and perform well now, Australia will love him for life because that is what they do, right? Kohli,
Yeah.
for instance, has got like, superstar status for life because based on the way he played in that first tour. We spoke about the head dismissal, of course, which is the flashpoint. But I want to take your mind back to something that happened on the first day, where Siraj was bowling to Labuschagne, right? And as he was running in, Labuschagne very justifiably pulled out of his batting stance because there was an idiot with a beer
Yeah.
snake walking behind the side screen. And Siraj was, I think he tried to throw the ball at Labuschagne there, like literally in his run up, just out of frustration at having finished his entire run up. Earlier in the match, in the first innings, I think Nitish Kumar Reddy was batting, and he pulled out without any visible reason to have pulled out, and the ball was actually bowled, and even hit it with one hand on the bat, if I remember right. And the bowler didn't react. I think it was Cummins who was bowling at that stage, and yeah, he was obviously not happy, but he went back and bowled the ball. So Siraj seemed to be a little hot under the collar even before the head dismissal, right? Like you can say that happened in the moment, but I don't think a bowler should be hurling the ball at the batsman, right? When that happens.
Okay. So I have another question for you. Which is more serious? Okay, whatever Siraj did, or the fact that Stark basically threatened Harshit Rana in the last test. He said, "I can bowl faster than you, and I've got a long memory."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this test match, Harshit Rana is actually bombed. Okay, like
Yeah.
he's actually hammered.
He's been
But
mentally disintegrated, as the
not
great Steve
mentally
O would have
disinterested.
said.
Macha, he's physically battered. I mean, he's getting bouncer after bouncer at him.
Also, the context there is, of course, that Stark and Harshit are also teammates at
But
KKR, right?
whatever.
So,
But what I'm saying is that this is served cold, right? So
yeah,
they're coming at you with the view of hurting you, physically hurting you, after
yeah,
threatening to do so in the previous test, as opposed to one guy just losing his shit, for whatever reason, which is the
yeah.
bigger,
So, personal opinion here. I think what Siraj did was completely fine, right?
yeah,
In the head dismissal, head's reaction was completely fine. Star's mouthing off to Harshit Rana was also completely fine, right? I have no problem with any of these things because there are certain things that are captured on camera. There's plenty that goes on that's not captured on camera, and if we
sure,
start trying to legislate, what players are saying, or come up with a blanket ban that you cannot actually have a conversation on the field with your opponent, right? If you
uh,
want to truly legislate any of these. Otherwise, it's open season, man. People are going to say shit, right? And yeah, sure, you can have guardrails around racism and things getting personal, but I mean, if people are going to use the M word and the MF word, then it is personal, right?
mm,
Regardless of what. So it's a very gray line, and I don't think it helps to go into legislation. The only question is, does it help you? Does it help your team? Is it going to help you for the rest of the series when you do certain things? And unwittingly perhaps, Siraj has walked into this
Created a
now.
rod for his own back.
He's now going to become a lightning rod for the rest of the series. And there is also, I mean, I don't think it's relevant at all, but we know that the last time India toured Australia, Siraj was unfortunately at the
Yeah, in Sydney.
rough end of something like this, where he stood up for himself and his captain stood up
Yeah,
for him. And in fact, if anything, it spurred him to perform well. I would be very interested to see how Siraj goes in the rest of this series,
yeah.
because he didn't actually bowl too badly, right, in that spell. He was it wasn't too bad. We've actually seen Siraj be flat for a few matches recently, not on this tour. I just hope the ICC doesn't get involved here with random fines and slapping players on their wrists, etc. And I think also Siraj and Head had like a moment, right, afterwards, where
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were.
Honestly, I'm not too fussed about any of those incidents. To my mind, uh, batter pulling out for legitimate reasons and you hurling the ball in his direction is also fine, man. I mean, as long as it's like wide of the stumps and wide of the batter, etc., it's fine.
What if your aim is so bad and you're trying to throw it wide of the stumps, but you end up nailing him in a nut graph?
It has
Then
happened. I think it was Curtly Ambrose who threw the ball like this once at
Some Australian.
Inzamam, and it was
the immovable object meets the irresistible force.
yeah. It was one of those things where it's not a battle pulling out, but it's just like you bunt it down the wicket and the bowler is frustrated, so he throws it back at you.
That's, I
And
think, fine.
Inzamam,
If you're going for the run out, it's fine. And Inzamam does have the tendency to wander out of the crease as he's
no,
defending.
it wasn't a run out by any stretch of imagination. He
With
was like,
Inzamam, every ball is a run out. Hello.
Every ball is on. No, he
Every
also.
ball is an independent run out. Let's be very clear. Sometimes every ball is two independent run outs. You remember who else threw a ball at Inzamam, right? It was Suresh Raina from mid-off and actually got the run out.
He
yeah,
also
right
has a
now.
tendency to obstruct the field. He also has a tendency to bunt back a throw at the stumps. So it's a legit tactic with Inzamam.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Inzamam hits Ambrose for the most
Oh,
massive six
I
right
remember.
Six,
after that.
The next ball.
Beautiful six. It's one of my favorite clips. So I'm saying it's fine, man. I mean, these things will happen, and you can have all sorts of fines and bans and all of those things. But we are ultimately people who do enjoy watching stuff like that, and this is the kind of stuff that
I agree.
you remember for a long amount of
Yeah.
time. I don't think that the little verbal incident that happened between Harshit and Stark in the first test is any problem either. I don't think
Exactly.
it was
Yeah.
a threat of physical harm. He's just saying that listen, I can also bowl bouncers at you. And even today, I mean, you look at Cummins bowling bouncer after bouncer after bouncer. Not a single incident of him following it
Yeah.
up with any verbals at all.
Yep.
Perhaps lingering around his the place where his run-up ends, but he's walking back and he's using the short ball as a purely tactical
Correct.
Sure.
weapon.
Sure.
Nothing more to it. So I guess it's absolutely fine, and we don't have much to worry about on that front. If the series does get heated, it's more theater and more kalesh and more drama. That's fine.
I love how Chops used Dhoni logic to explain how sledging is not a problem. You said sledging Stark is threatening bowling bouncers. He said that Cummins is bowling bouncers without sledging itself. No, so that is also equally dangerous for the batsman. And
Yeah.
Cummins is gentleman of the first order, so then sledging is not a problem. It's correct. I like this logic. It's very good.
But on the subject of Stark, right, we've seen actually he's never really been at his best against India until this series. He's been lethal in Perth and here both. I thought he bowled
Yeah.
really good spells in both tests.
India really actually missed the trick here, right, by not batting long. Because batting long in even one of these two innings, and the Brisbane
Yeah.
Test match is a quick turnaround now.
Yeah.
Hazelwood has already missed one Test match. I think India could have really put Stark, Cummins, and Boland under the pump by batting
Yeah.
long. And they've not done that. And Bumrah has some problems, right? He had
Yeah.
a groin niggle or something, which they took forever to fix.
Groin, shoulder. I mean, it's scary. It's the guy is literally your lone bowling hope, and he looks so fragile.
I remember that Zahir Khan getting injured in England, right? And in the first session
Oh,
of the
Oh
Test match,
man!
in the second session, they should point to him in the dressing room. He's sitting on one of those exercise cycles, right? Full gas cycle, and he's pedaling. I'm like, hey, what is going on? out of the series. Indian summer over. That was a headline the next day or something, right? With Zaire getting it.
4-0, 4-0.
4-0, 4-0. Except here, thankfully, it can be 4-1.
I just wanted to talk about Ashwin bowling.
Oh yes. We've gone this far without talking about Ashwin. So for the record, after much debate, consternation, and skirmishes and furtive messages being exchanged on our WhatsApp group, finally Ravichandran Ashwin came into this series and came into his own at Adelaide, where he has bowled well in the past in prior attempts. Let it be stated for the record, Ashwin got 1 wicket in this Test match, and that wicket was actually not out. Actually scored a few runs also, right? I think it was a quick plucky runs in the first innings, which got India to 180. Chops, your favorite player. Please now don't comment about some fielding that he did.
No. I'll tell you what. Okay, bloody Chops, fuck off. He ran 3. Okay, he ran a 3.
Yeah, he ran a 3.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the tweet.
That's
Ashwin
the
ran a
tweet.
3.
Ashwin ran a 3.
There was this one beautiful tweet when these guys needed 1 run to win or 3 runs to win the match. Nitish Kumar Reddy was bowling, and Cricket for had an update just before that ball saying Ashwin has a word with Nitish Kumar Reddy. So somebody tweeted, what exactly did he tweet? I forgot that also.
He tweeted that this is like telling a student,
Question in the last minute.
Telling important questions on the last second of the exam. The funny thing is the next ball was hit for 4, and after that they needed 1 run to win. So it was 5 to win. Ashwin advised to Nitish Kumar Reddy, and the next ball 4.
The only thing I'll say, and this is very uncharacteristic of me, I did enjoy Ashwin's spell. There was like 1 over or maybe 1 over or 2 overs where he went for a few runs. But other than that, I think if he did have Bumrah bowling from the other end, he was building up pressure nicely, but he had Harshit and Nitish for company, which obviously didn't do much for India at all. So I think he bowled okay.
Viewers, deep fake videos are real. They are a real thing. Okay. You thought you heard Chops, you actually heard PGK.
Yeah. No, so you are actually appreciating a spell where he did not take any wickets and saying he bowled well. And you're saying he didn't take wickets because the bowlers at the other end were not good. This is like Javagal Srinath's career all over again. Yeah.
PDP, tell me, how did Ashwin go?
No, he was okay, man. I don't think I don't think he bowled badly, to be honest. I thought he had a bad series against New Zealand at home, but I don't think he's really bowled badly in this game. That said, Vamu has this really solid logic about why they shouldn't have dropped Washington Sundar, because the spinner's not going to bowl that many overs, so you may as well have the spinner who bats better.
No, Macha, that's the point. See, that's where I disagree. With India right now, who do you have if you drop Harshit? You have Akashdeep, who Vamu himself says is not good with the old
One sec. We are discussing Vamu's opinions as if this is some Tom Moody said something. Guys, it's Varun Murali. Please. Relax. We don't have to debate Vamu's predictions here. They're fucking nonsense. Have some decorum, please. He opens his mouth and says rubbish. And he doesn't even remember what he said. During IPL auction, he was like, guys, why are you even discussing? Ricky Ponting has gone to Punjab. He's going to bid all the money. Can't you see? It's so obvious. I felt like a fool, okay, seeing his thing. Is like, oh, this guy is so deeply he's understanding the auction. He's like a chess move he has seen where the prior coach has gone, how much purse they have emptied so that they can buy Pant. And then Pant goes to some other team. And I asked that fellow, hey, idiot, you said Punjab is going to get Pant. What the hell is wrong with you? And his response is, when did I say that? Did I say that? I might have said that. I'm like, hey. I have like reassessed my own, involvement in cricket, how deeply I'm understanding the sport which I claim to love, based on this comment that you gave. And you don't even remember having said it. I can't even troll you for making a wrong prediction because you don't remember it yourself.
He's Tom Moody.
Varun Moody. Varun Moody, rolls of the tongue nicely.
Yeah.
He is P-Dog, guys. He is P-Dog. One of these days, you're going to see P-Dog in one of those Crikipedia stickers. He's going to look like Varun Murali because he's actually Varun Murali. Nobody has seen these two guys in the same room. He moonlights as a Ashwin hater on our group, but actually he is P-Dog.
Macha, the only thing I'll say PDP is that for India, the holding role will have to be played by a spinner.
Holding role. Who will play Garner role? Who will play Marshall role?
And more importantly, who's Willie?
Iman Pandey. Who's going to play Holding's role? Huh? Can you believe we are 2 tests down and Jadeja is yet to make
I
an
know.
appearance in this test match?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
every spinner will get a chance. By the end of the tour, they'll fly Kuldeep in for one test match. It's happening.
Macha, as long as Jayant Yadav doesn't come in, I'm okay.
Oh my gosh. But guys, it's not like Nathan Lyon has set the world on fire in these 2 tests either.
There is no fire left for him. Only ashes are left by the time he comes on to bowl. You score 120, 130. Obviously, fifth bowler won't even get chance to bowl. No?
1 over he bowled. How will set the world on fire?
Yeah, that's what.
When he is not warmed up only, how will set the world on fire? But again, I think Lyon bowled pretty well in that second innings at Perth.
At Perth, yeah. He could have had Kohli. I remember one absolute beauty went through the gate. Yeah.
See, the only difference between Lyon and us is we could have also had Kohli, but we are not playing the test match. Let's just be clear about that. Okay, I agree. Let's not troll Ashwin any further. We've done it to our heart's content for 149 episodes. Now we are on the Kohli train, guys. Get the memo. We spoke about, ICC should not get involved in all these incidents minus skirmishes, which actually make the sport interesting to watch. Elsewhere, right, in the other country in that continent, England have been handing New Zealand their ass for 2 test matches running. But meanwhile, also bowling their overs very slowly. And Ben Stokes has come out and said, I have not signed a single... I don't understand. He has pulled off an insumam basically saying, I don't understand the rule. Nobody has explained WTC to me. Nobody has explained over rates to me. And this is like, someone explained this like those parents who won't sign the progress report because the kids have not got much. I think Andrew Fernando used that in his piece. Where he tried
Friend
to
of the pod, Andrew Fernando, yeah.
Andrew Fernando actually has a nice piece on Quick Info, which has come out today, which addresses one aspect of this whole overrate brouhaha. What Stokes was indicating is that teams that have bowl more fast bowler overs are unfairly penalized by this rule because obviously fast bowlers take longer to bowl the overs. Andrew Fernando actually looked into the numbers and said, yes, test matches that happen in the Sena countries, right, tend to have more overrate fines than test matches that happen in subcontinent and other conditions of West Indies where spinners bowl a lot more overs. So you could argue that the Sena countries have a bit of a disadvantage. But what he also then goes on to find is England have had 9 violations out of the 18 violations or something that have been recorded since 2019. So half the violations have been by England, and the team with the second highest number of violations is actually India with just 3. So England do tend to bowl slower than every other team, though they are bowling in conditions which maybe are amenable to slower over rates because they bowl in English conditions, right? Now my question is this, or rather let me throw it open to you guys. What is your take on overrate violations and how important do you guys think overrate is and why?
Just to further qualify what you said, if you look at the stuff that Stokes said about it, I mean, it's not a coincidence that England have had that many violations because Stokes has actually come out and said, I like to stop the game, I like to slow the game down, I like to go and talk to the bowler, I like to do... So this has nothing to do with whether you're bowling fast or whether you're bowling spin. This is to do with the fact that you're doing Arate Arangam after every 3 balls.
They are slowing down the game, no question about it. While on batting it is high run rate, bowling is slow over rate.
Slow. If you're going to keep stopping the game by running all the way from slip to go and talk to the bowler and then run all the way back, obviously you're going to slow the game down. Yeah, I don't get the whole victim mentality there. Which
is fine, right? Let's leave Stokes out of it for the moment. We are not here justifying what Stokes' behavior is because whatever the rules are, you're supposed to play by the rules and you have to sign the fucking overrate sheet.
Yeah.
You can't say, I won't sign. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, behave like a grown-up adult, right?
No, this is like the equivalent of running away with the bat.
Yeah, this is exactly that, right? But my question is different, right? I'm asking you, why is overrate important? We had a test match today ending, less than 2.5 days into its duration. Yeah.
I think the one eye-opening thing for me in the Andrew Fernando article was this. and I'm going to read out from the article. If a bowling team dismisses the opposition in fewer than 80
Yeah.
overs, match officials do not consider penalties for
Correct.
that innings.
Correct.
If a team dismisses the opposition twice in less than 160 overs in total, penalties again are not applied.
Correct.
Yeah.
And teams are also informed how many overs short they might be at the end of every day of play. One part of it is whether we agree with how over rates are administered and fined, etc. But the other part of it is that, okay, if you agree with that, assuming you agree with that, ICC is building in enough conditions to make sure that if you're bowling slow and bowling teams out within a set number of overs, you don't have any fines, penalties, etc. Now, the first assumption needs to be questioned whether over rates are important at all or not, which
Yeah.
is where I would say that I don't know, there has to be a fine line somewhere. It is very, very frustrating to see Stokes change the field after every ball. I mean, and his bowlers are not that great. They're not doing something so magical
Yeah, yeah,
after
yeah.
That is why
every
he's
ball.
changing the field every ball.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're not able to, like, no bowler can respond to that sort of a plan. You move one fielder there, suddenly you're bowling a bouncer. And then if the strike changes, if the other batter comes on strike, you are gone. He will, like, change heaven and earth. And if it's a left-hander instead of a right-hander who's coming, then like, oh my God, like, that guy needs to understand that other teams are also playing cricket, other teams are also winning, and they're not changing the
Other
field.
teams are actually winning, is what you need to
Yeah,
say.
other teams are actually winning.
Yeah.
They're not changing the field after every single ball, like, they're on drugs or something. So there is Stokes and there is everyone else, and Stokes
Yeah.
does it so very often that it becomes super
Yeah.
apparent.
No, but also, let's look at why this became a big deal. So there were quite a few games in the 90s. I think especially when England toured the West Indies in 1990. Lara talks about it, where England were on the verge of actually winning the test, and the West Indies slowed down the over
Slow
rate
down.
to 4-5.
Desmond Haynes
Yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
the
Desmond
captain.
Haynes was the captain. They slowed the game down to 5-6 overs an hour, which is ridiculous. The same thing happened, I think,
Karachi.
in
Do you remember
Karachi. Yeah,
Karachi?
yeah,
Yeah.
Karachi, Tops match, where again Pakistan slowed the game down to a
It was
grinding
getting
halt
dark
almost.
also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then Moin Khan was also like, I can't see anything. I'm like, Batsman told him, I can see the ball. You quietly wicket.
From the other side, there is also the point of broadcasting costs. I believe there's a view amongst producers, broadcasters, that it becomes very difficult to manage a game that keeps dragging. That doesn't.
If it goes on for longer. I get these points, right?
Yeah,
So your point about Desmond Haynes and Karachi is valid,
yeah,
but we have test matches ending on the third day,
yeah,
right? So that point is invalid. If you want to handle broadcast issues, you don't have to extend play, right? You stop play at the set time and come back the next day, and you can still make up the overs
yeah,
because test matches are not ending in 5 days. I mean, they're ending much faster than
yeah,
five
yeah,
days.
yeah,
So instead of bowling 90 overs a day, you bowl 80 overs a day. You'll still finish in 4 days
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
three,
yeah.
right? So that's another argument. So my irritation with the ICC, right? First is that subclause that Chops read out, right? This whole thing about if you bowl a team out twice in less than 160 overs. Now, why is this relevant at all,
Yeah, yeah.
right? If you are legislating for the boredom of the people watching the game, watching 159 overs being bowled slowly is as irritating to me as 160 overs, right? Why is the fielding team being allowed to get away with it just because they could bowl out a team for in less than 160 overs? If that is your criteria. My problem with ICC is we actually don't know why they've even imposed, why they take over it so seriously, because they have actually not come out and told it. There has been no survey amongst fans, and I have actually not come across a single fan who has complained, except for Chops now. And I buy Chops' point because England really do take it to the next level. But by and large, fans have not really complained anywhere in a formal way, saying that we believe that we are being shortchanged by slow over rates, right? If anything, fans could argue that we want to see test matches go on for longer. We don't want matches to end sooner. And if ICC cares about fans or about duration of play, saying that it's better for cricket to have 4 and 5 day matches than 2 and 3 day matches, they should be doing something about that. And that is not imposing fines on
Yeah.
captains for over
No,
rates,
no, no.
right?
See, for example, Australia lost out
On a WTC qualification, right? Based on some stupid.
WTC final because of
Yeah.
the overrate situation. And I mean, imagine what could have happened to Tim Paine's legacy had Australia reached the final and maybe even won it.
Lost to New Zealand. He would have been pilloried forever by his countrymen. But yeah, go
No,
on.
they would have taken New Zealand spot, da.
Oh,
I think so. We'll
okay.
check with Tony, the all knowledgeable fellow with respect to WTC tables. There is going to be a line somewhere which is not yet found by the ICC, which is able to effectively establish how something that Stokes and England are doing right now is absolutely terrible for the game. And then there is something that happens on a basis of what you would call a technicality, where suddenly out of the blue you watched a full match, you haven't felt anything at all in terms of slow overrates, this, that, whatever. Suddenly you will see in the newspaper next day that
Yeah, they've been docked
this captain,
points.
that captain
15 points
has
docked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
some points dogged. That makes no sense at all.
And firstly, Stokes has said he doesn't care about WTC also. So you can remove all his points, he'll go into negative. He doesn't care because
Yeah.
he doesn't respect WTC either.
No, no, they
Not he
will.
doesn't
They
respect.
will.
He said I don't understand it.
It's
Like
utterly confusing.
it's utterly confusing. He should spend some time with Tony. I think he'll explain it to him in great detail.
Especially now that they've beaten New Zealand, Tony will be happy to spend time.
Yeah.
See, my only thing is, as far as overrates is concerned, yeah, I mean, you need to draw a line somewhere because otherwise, what used to be 120 became 90, will become 80, will become 70, and there's no end to it, right? And that is not going to be good for the game. I want ICC to come out and say that that is why they are legislating for
Yeah.
overrates. Because the vigor with which they're going at overrates, it seems like it is the biggest thing that is killing cricket today, right?
Yeah.
Because there is literally nothing else you do that affects your qualification in WTC except for actual results,
Right.
right? But there are 100 other things that are ailing cricket right now. You have Dafa News sponsored South Africa playing Dafa Bet sponsored Sri Lanka in a test match. The ICC is not worried about that. They are more worried about Ben Stokes overrates, right? That is what gets my goat.
It's one of those things where they are very, very trigger happy, and that's been the case for quite some time now.
I don't think
Um,
anybody in the ICC even knows why they don't like bad overrates.
yeah,
If
no,
you go and
it's
ask Jaysha, tell me why do you find people for bad overrates, I don't think you'll have an answer.
But sir, if you have three questions to ask Jasha, this will be the first one, is it? Like seriously, I'm asking you. Like,
Actually, you tell me what is the first question you will ask Jaysha.
huh? What?
Ninga labak dasa, Lord labak dasa. So there's this other theory that I heard, which is that slow overrates actually helps fast bowlers, especially because it helps them bowl longer spells because it gives them more recovery time.
Yeah.
Because they're between balls, they get more time to breathe and hence they can be at peak intensity. And for all you know, Stokes is doing all this just to give his bowlers a breather. Right? Anyway, he picks like two bowlers to play a test match. So
But sir, he doesn't understand WTC table itself. You're crediting him with being some evil genius. Like he's giving.
he picks like two bowlers, no, for a test match. Like Anderson is there to bowl first 2 overs. That's it. After that he goes. Like Deepak Chahar bowls 2 overs for CSK and then hides in the outfield. Anderson does that for England in test matches. Or at least used to till like 2 months back. Okay.
I mean, now they have a decent bowling attack. All of their guys have done well. Karsh has done well. Atkinson has done well.
Atkinson. Yeah.
Yeah,
Both has
everyone
done
does
well.
well. Everyone does well in New Zealand against New Zealand except one team. We know that already. Okay, guys, before we close, any thoughts on India's 11 for Brisbane?
I will drop Nitish Kumar Reddy. I know his runs have been very, very good, but I don't think his bowling is doing absolutely anything for us at all. He can't be trusted to put in 10 overs in a day. Maybe another spinner who's a bit of an all-rounder, which is either Washi or Chandu. And I'm definitely dropping Harshit, and I'm definitely bringing in Akashdeep.
When is the last time two spinners played in Brisbane? I don't know. This
I
must be
don't know,
some.
but I mean, you can't plug in that all-rounder hole that is there in the 11 unless you
Honestly, I'll
play.
play Nitish as a specialist batter right now.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'll send him
Who
after
will you
yeah.
Punt.
drop?
Rohit Sharma.
If I could pick NKR as a specialist bat, I mean, I would definitely do that. And right now, the most droppable Indian batter, unfortunately, seems to be Rohit. And you also have a captain in Bumrah, so that that is a possibility.
Who are the other batsmen in India's squad? Sarfraz is there, I assume,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jural.
and
Surface.
Padikkal. And Jurel is no specialist batsman.
Yeah. Then what?
Rilaba. Okay. PDP, what changes will you make?
Oh man.
Actually, there's nobody in the squad. What change will you make?
Yeah.
Nothing. Bring back Natrajan, man. What is this rubbish
Prasid
squad?
is there.
So I agree with Chops on the Akashdeep point. I think he should play. And it's very clear that he replaces Harshit in my mind. I'm not sure how much a spinner is going to make a difference in Brisbane. So I would actually bring in Washi for Ashwin for Brisbane. Uh, that
I
said, I
love
think
how you guys are all like, passive aggressively making changes to the bowling attack and just like cursing under your lips about this batting lineup. Because there's nothing you can do to that
there
batting
is
lineup.
nothing you can do, man. There is nothing you can do. You're
Though
not.
anything you do will only make it better. I would also say, by the way, like these guys are not used to bowling with pink ball, right? Especially in these conditions, right? I would give the bowlers a bit of a pass on this test match because really, yeah, they ran into head and it wasn't like they were fully listless also. Until head took them apart, they were at least able to keep things quiet. So it's okay.
No, but the weird thing about Head is that we're treating him like an unsolvable problem.
Hey, you are the professor, Ra.
Troy said
No,
prolong.
Travis that problem. But the thing is, he's not been that successful against other teams. So I really don't know what it is.
No, I mean this just it was very odd to see. I mean, you look at how pinpointed and effective were Australia's plans. There was a stat that came out that with Rohit, the number of balls that actually, I mean, in the second innings, the first one was too short-lived, but in the second innings, the number of balls that hit the stumps were going to hit the stumps were under some 5% or 10% or something.
Hmm.
Everything was outside of everything. And with Gill, it was the exact opposite.
Huh.
Nothing outside of because, I mean, he's young, hand-eye coordination is there, all of those things are there, so he's going to smoke them through the offside. Everything on the stumps because he's a candidate for, one going through the gate or LBW or something.
See, when you're 150 runs ahead, all these plans come off quite easily. And it's easy to adhere to plans also. It's not like India have not done this
Yeah,
in the past. You had Siraj
possibly.
and
Yeah.
Bumrah bowl superb spells.
But I
Yeah.
mean that said, I mean I saw some positive signs with Gill also. So I've told Nitin this before that Gill has actually got two cover drives. One where the bat is straight and the other one is like a TT shot where his
Yeah.
where his right hand just kind of takes over. And he's actually nailed both of those shots. He's looking really good until he got that absolute pitch.
But that is
Yeah, I
always going
mean,
to be Gill. See, Gill is like your not a comparison that jumps at you when you think about it, but reminds me of Lakshman in the
Yeah,
sense never looks to be in trouble. Has
yeah,
all the
yeah.
shots. Lakshman early in his
Has
career would
time on his
play
side.
like some five brilliant shots and then get out.
yeah,
Right?
man.
Like it just kept happening till it stopped happening. At one stage, Lakshman just said, "Okay, now I will
Yeah.
bat." Yeah, it's the same thing with Gill. At some stage, hopefully, we'll see Gill not get out. Cool. So predictions for Gabba quickly. Is it's going to be 2-1 at the end of it, guys. Take
Of
it from me.
course. Of
Take
course.
it, note it that one.
Noting that.
Pin this, guys. Pin my prediction.
Pin.
2-1 at the end of the Gabba. See you
Eh,
after the Gabba. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to see India win a test at the Gabba. I think they've got a shot
wow.
at the MCG, honestly. I'm not just saying this because a bunch of you guys are
Reinforcements are going in
yeah,
for the
yeah,
MCG.
reinforcements are going in for MCG. But I actually think that before the series, you would have said that, actually, to be fair, Adelaide and Perth, you would have said, were the two tough tests. But yeah, given where things are now, I don't see India winning at Brisbane.
No rain and all, no, in Brisbane.
It's like heights of desperation, there are chops.
No, no, but I think India is going to get it back. 2-1 to India.
Ooh. Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin, two spinners are going to lance
Ravi
this
Indran and
and
Ravi
have
Chandran.
Valentine. Yeah, there you go. All right, 2-1 at the end of the Gabba is the prediction from Chops, Prashant, and myself, Nitin Sundar, as we wind up episode 150 of Bits and Pieces. Until we see you again in a week's time, thank you so much for staying with us. Do let your friends know about this wonderful podcast and send us comments. And do note that we are now Kohli trolls. So please let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Chops is smiling at you nicely right now. El Chopper Nose is waiting for your replies on Twitter, and we would like to see your comments too. Virat Kohli was always a limited
No, it's
batsman.
always a limited. It is not age with Kohli, it is limitation.
Limitation. Yes. Until next time, see you all. Thank you. Bye bye. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.